In the heart of Oye Market, where traders hawked their goods, and the air was thick with scent of roasted maize and fresh spices, there was a hair braiding store unlike any other. The store belonged to Mamoji, a woman whose skill with hair was unmatched. Her braids were intricate, seamless, and seemed to hold a certain enchantment as they breathed with life. Women who sat under her scaled fingers left feeling more beautiful than ever. Yet, there was an unbreakable rule in Mamoji's store: no mirrors. Sit down, relax, but do not look until I'm finished, she would often say. Her deep, melodious voice washed over her customers like a lullaby. Most of them never really questioned her. Some of them who did were probably never seen again. But one evening, Adeze, a young woman known for her stubbornness, arrived at the store. She had heard whispers of Mamoji's talents and was eager to see for herself. Good evening, Mamoji, she greeted, adjusting the scarf on her head. Good evening, Onwam, Mamoji replied, flashing a small smile. Let me transform your hair. Come and sit down. Adeze settled into a wooden stool, and Mamoji's hands got into work. The moment her fingers touched Adeze's scalp, a strange sense of sensation crept over her, a tingling, as though tiny creatures were moving along under her skin. Your hands are so fast, Mama, Adeze said with a nervous chuckle. Mamoji hummed. Mamoji hummed. It is the hands of experience, my dear. But as she walked, Adeze couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Her scalp itched, tingled, and twitched. And then she noticed something even stranger. There were no combs. Mamoji's fingers twisted and weaved without parting the hairs, without using any tool or any instrument, without pause. Her movements were almost inhuman. And Daisy's curiosity burned. She needed to know why no one could look into the mirror. And then she saw it: a small cracked mirror leaning against a bucket just within reach. Her heart pounded slowly, but she tilted. She had had enough to catch a glimpse of her reflection. The breath in her lungs froze. Behind her, Mamoji was no longer a kind, fixed woman. Her head was covered with hissing snakes, their forked tongues flicking in and out. Her skin, once smooth and dark, had now taken a scaly sheen, and her yellow eyes gleaming with something utterly inhuman. Adese's stomach twisted with horror, but that wasn't even the worst part. Her hair, the beautiful braids Mamoji has been weaving, were seriously alive. The freshly braided strands in her hair moved and slithered together, tightening as if trying to become a part of her. Her scalp pulsed, the itching, the tingling. It wasn't from the braiding, but it was some sort of a transformation. She looked closer at her reflection as the braids now felt foreign and unnatural. And then she saw them: figures lurking in the dark corners of the market, just outside the glows of the lanterns. Women standing still as shadows, their braids, their braided hair moving on their own, their eyes dull and distant, their mouths slightly open as though gasping for breath. A realization just crashed over Adeze like cold waters. Oh my God, these were Mamoji's past customers. Women who had come for beauty but left with something else, something monstrous. and she was about to become one of them. The mirror slipped from her hands, shattering on the ground, and Mamoji's voice darkened. You looked. Adeze stood up, her heart hammering. What are you, Mama? Mamoji's lips curled into something that was quite. Mamoji's lips curled into something that was not quite a smile. The snakes on her head hissed, weaving into each other. You already know, my child. Adeze stood a step back, feeling her scalp tightening and the braids were pulling at her skin. Let me welcome you properly, Mamoji whispered. Join my daughters. They are waiting. Immediately the shadows moved. The snake haired woman took slow and creeping steps towards her. No! Adeze breathed, shaking her head violently. She had to escape. Immediately, desperation clawed at her chest, and then she remembered her nzu, the sacred white chalk that was given to her by her grandmother. With trembling hands, she reached into the folds of her purse and brought out the powdery substance. And just as Mamoji lunged into Adeze, Ada threw the nzu into the air. And in the moment the sacred powder touched Mamoji's skin, she screamed, and an earthly sound that sent chills through the market. Her skin cracked, and and the snakes were shouting in agony, hissing into the night. The air smelled of something that was burning, and Ada ran. Immediately she saw what was happening. The next morning, when the villagers came to the market, Mamoji's store was gone. No one knew where she had gone, and no one even tried to ask. But scattered where her shop were once stood were strands of braided hair that were still moving as if they were still alive. Shocked from the marketers, nobody tried to even speak of Mamoji again. But sometimes, on nights when the moon was full, the villagers would hear a faint hissing in the wind, and the women who had once sat in Mamoji's chair would feel their scalp tingle and their braids tighten as though they were trying to wake up.